part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Ray Guy and Rhoda podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our producer, Chase Smith, who makes sure everything sounds fantabulous and wonderful and epic, if you will, and gets out to you in the podcatosphere. And Michael Ray Guy, the more things change, the more they stay the same. For the fourth consecutive week, the Cleveland Browns have lost another football game and are now 2-5 in their first 7 to start the season as they fall to the Ratbirds of Baltimore on the road today, 23-20. And again, Michael had a chance late to win it or at least tie it, and unable to come through and make a play when it mattered.
Most discouraging thing, too, for me, Kenny, is, 4 weeks ago, regardless of how it happened, we know what the NFL is. You only get 17 shots at this thing in a regular season, right? So they were 2-1, right? Yep. They're sitting at 2-1. They found a way by virtually every method going that you can play poorly. Offense at times, defense at times terrible, special teams snafus, and then the head coach included in that as well. So now they dropped 4 straight. And Ken, I mean, look, man, they're behind it. We know that. You either beat Cincinnati. Look, here's what it is. You either beat Joe Burrow, which they've done, but I mean, Joe Burrow's playing right now, playing probably the best at the quarterback position in the National Football League. He's sure right there with it. Had a phenomenal game today. So they either win on this coming Sunday, and that doesn't guarantee a damn thing, but I guess it keeps you with a pulse. But that's what it's come down to after they've completely jacked up a 2-1 start.
Reg, I look at this team, and I was at Jersey's on Fulton Road in Canton, just down from the Hall of Fame. Stark County Browns backers. They're diehards, right?
Yeah.
First drive, Michael, and I wrote it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
11 plays, 75 yards, 6:37 off the clock. Chubb 5-yard run, Chubb 14-yard pass, Chubb 2-yard run. Bryant, 14-yard catch. Njoku, 22-yard catch. Chubb, 3-yard run. DPJ, a 2-yard catch. Njoku, 4-yard pass. Brissett, a 1-yard keeper. First down. Chubb, 6-yard run. Chubb, 2-yard run. Touchdown. Chubb did not come off the field for those 11. He was on the field for all 11 plays, carried it 5 times for 18, had a reception, 1 for 14 yards. So I look at this, Michael, and I say, and I tweeted it out, that's as efficient and fun of a drive I've seen all season long. They featured Chubb the way he should be featured, as the number 1 running back in the entire NFL. And then they went on to score 13 points the rest of the game. And he only carried the ball after that opening drive, 11 more times. Can you explain that to me?
Oh, hell no, I can't explain that. No, that's beyond explanation. It's beyond comprehension, Kenny. And look, I agree with you. I'm saying, well, yeah, this looks good. But Ken, I got to be honest with you. Even as that was finalized with the touchdown, as you said, I'm thinking they can't sustain. They're not going to sustain this or anything close to it, because we've discussed it over and over again, and you see that whether it's poor decisions, poor throws, taking sacks, the Jacoby Brissett just can't play a 60-minute football game where he, as the quarterback, puts the football team offensively in the best position to be successful and, i.e., win the game. He can't do it. He cannot do it for a full football game. And that's what I tweeted out today. Because, it's right there for us. Yeah, he has good moments. He has good drives. But invariably, as we've seen, Kenny, he just never plays a full football game. Never.
But, Michael, that's who he is, isn't he? I mean, shouldn't we
yes.
know that, right? I mean, we shouldn't expect him to go out and throw for 3 bills and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but at least give me 48 minutes of competitive football or consistent football if you're not going to be a big playmaker. And
That's
again,
right.
yeah, you could say, well, he let them down and they had a chance for that game-tying field goal. Well, just like in Carolina, Michael, it was a 58-yarder in Carolina, and it was going to be a 55-yarder here today if it wasn't for the penalty that made it 60 yards.
Yeah, of course. Well, and they do everything they can to put themselves in untenable positions, right? Especially offensively. And so today, the defense held up. They weren't completely porous throughout the course of the football game. And as you said, you got yourself in a position to win. But to me, it's Brissett just doesn't. Kenny, he holds the ball too long.
Yep.
His decision making is poor. You know, the whole gamut. And again, I'm not ripping the man, as you just said a moment ago, but still, Ken, you know, he's out there as your quarterback.
Right.
And of course, when you're hoping and rooting for a football team, as all the Browns fans do, you know, it gets a little bit tough to watch. And yeah, I know that's why he's been what he's been throughout his whole career. But by the same token, they've decided that this is the guy they want to go with Watson unable to play for the first 11 weeks. So, yeah, damn it, I expect some success, at least to be able to win a few football games. But not lose four. Again, you know, the 4 games in a row they've lost, I really believe you could have won 2 of them. Yeah. 1 of them for sure, maybe 2 of them. And that's a huge difference, Ken, from being 2-5, 3-4, 4-3 in the NFL. This ain't the damn major MLB or NBA where you're playing, you know, game after game after game every night. You got to keep yourself in position to have a chance in December. They're not doing that at all.
And now they've got the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow coming to town a week from tomorrow night. We're taping on a Sunday night, so it's a Monday night game, Halloween night, the 31st. Joe Burrow slinging it all over the place. They're tied with the Ratbirds from Baltimore for first in the AFC North. Both of those teams are 4-3. And, you know, Joe Burrow's going to be jacked to the max because he hadn't beaten Cleveland yet, right? One of the things he hasn't done in the NFL is beat the Browns. So you're staring at 2-6 going into your bye week. And, oh, yeah, you come out of the bye on the road with back-to-back games at Miami and Buffalo before maybe you get your cupcake in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as they can't seem to win a game or score points with Tom Brady as their quarterback now, whatever's going on there. But 2-6, possibly staring at 2-8 going into that Tampa game before Watson even comes back.
Yeah. So, you know, by that time, then, you know, the whole thing is just completely blown up. But again, they have had opportunities to be with some combination of the head coach putting his football team in the best position to win. And Kenny, I've seen enough of Stefanski and you know, the calling plays. I'm sorry. He's not that accomplished to be able to hold that duality of a role. He's just not. You can say all you want about, well, yeah, those of you, many of you, I get it. You think he does a nice job as a head coach. It doesn't include his offensive play calling. I'm telling you that. It doesn't. That's not his forte. Oh, but he was the OC for Minnesota. Well, okay. Maybe that's what he should be then, the OC, because the combination of the two, to be the CEO and one as the head coach and trying to run your offense as well and call your own play. Kenny, for me, it's not working for him. Doesn't work for him, and I don't think it's going to.
Michael, why do you think he can script the opening drive or the first 2 drives, but once the guts of the game gets rolling and adjustments need to be made, he doesn't have a feel for the play? Is he overwhelmed? Is it too much for him to be the head coach, meaning offense, defense, special teams? You have a say in all those, and you're still trying to call the offensive plays as the play call. Why do you think it is? First year he's coach of the year and things went very well. Well, the last 2 years with Baker Mayfield, without Baker Mayfield, it's not gone well. So why do you think that is?
I just think that the duality of everything, when you're trying to put everything together, when you're a head football coach, man, you're the CEO and you got to make every decision going. And so when your team has the football offensively, Kenny, there are times maybe your thoughts are on that defensive unit and you need to go, walk 10 yards behind you and talk to them about what their time they're on the football field, what the adjustments we're going to make, how we're going to play. Are we going to change a little bit of our coverages, the whole gamut? But he never does that because he's going to call every play. Yeah. Well, I'm count me out with that. I don't see enough that he's doing a good enough job at that to want to continue with it because, more than all professional sports are, Ken, but because of the nature of one a week and only 17, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, man, you cannot have things go awry like this during the course of games that cause you games. So like I just said, when the offense is on the field and he's got his play sheet over his face, and who's talking to his defense for the next time they go on the football field? Joe Woods.
That's
Joe Woods.
Joe Woods, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Joe,
they played better today. I'll give them a little credit. They played better today.
Doing it with the special teams?
Well, that too. Yeah. Mike Prefer, right? Isn't that the special teams guy?
Mike Prefer. Well, look, that's gone bad too. Right. I see now how many punt returners have they gone through?
62 in the first 7 games, I think.
And now they're back. Now it's the guy. Now they're back to Donovan Peoples-Jones because evidently nobody else can either catch the ball back there, understand when to fair catch, when to not fair catch, when to see if the football's going to go in the end zone if you let it. I mean, it's almost comical, man. It's almost comical that you're 7 games in and you don't know anything at all about your punt return team. Or your kick return team, you're changing guys possession by possession, Ken.
Yeah.
I know. Ken, you know this. You and I have been doing this for. That is not a sign of winning and positivity with a professional football team.
What they'll tell you is the guy that's supposed to be back there tore his ACL or injured himself. Who was it? Jakeem Grant that they signed? I think. Is that who it was? I forget already. I have a sight out of mind.
Every NFL team can tell you about their injuries.
Yeah,
every one of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, is there a team in the NFL that's healthy? Complete? Come on, man. That's what the NFL is. And the better organizations and the better coaches and the better teams find a damn way. Again, I mean, you lose 4 straight football games. I mean, no. It's they've pretty much they're real close, Kenny, to a loss to Burrow this week, and so at 8 games in, not even halfway in the season, it's done. It's done if they don't win this football game this week.
I'm looking at the schedule and the games, Micah, and I'm grasping at straws here. Okay. The argument from them will be, well, we're not that far away because, we lost by 1 point to the Jets. We lost by 3 points today to the Baltimore Ravens on the road. We lost by 2 points to the Chargers, 3 points to the Falcons. So we're 1 play away from. And I laughed when I heard this today, and I won't mention any names. Well, they're 1 play away in 4 different games from being 5-2. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but they're not, and they didn't make those plays.
Was it an L? Was it an L or a W? I see all L's there the last 4 weeks. So I don't want to hear all that BS rhetoric about one play, we lost by 3. BS. You're not playing well enough to win.
I agree. And I don't know what's going to change to make it better, to get them over the hump, other than Deshaun Watson, if he stays on the straight and narrow. And, he can't seem to stay out of the headlines, whether they're old headlines that just surfaced from his speeding ticket in June that just resurfaced or popped up recently, to another civil suit that he's facing, and, coming back to the Browns in the facility, and soon he'll be allowed to practice, and then he'll be allowed. Michael, right now they're a mess over there at 2-5 in Berea. Andrew Berry deserves some of the blame. Kevin Stefanski, I think, deserves a lot of the blame. And I don't see any player being able to help them, not named Deshaun Watson, for another, how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4 more games that they have to play without Deshaun Watson. I just don't see it. I don't.
I'm with you. And would it astound you? I mean, tell me all you want, but for everything we've said here in the first 15 minutes, would it astound you if they dropped all 4 of them and are sitting at 2-9 here when Watson comes back? And that wouldn't me either.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably win one of them just based on, watching NFL games, and somebody, screws something up more so than the Browns do. So, but would it shock me? No, it won't. 2-6 at the bye, losing to the Bengals. That I don't know what the odds makers have on that game for next week, but I'm willing to bet Cincinnati's the favorite going into that one, and the percentage of them winning that game is probably pretty high. So 2-6 is a very realistic possibility for the Browns going into the bye, and then they got to go back-to-back road games against Tagovailoa in Miami and Josh Allen and Buffalo. So we'll see if any changes are made before they play those games at Miami and Buffalo, because the bye week is that reevaluation of your team to assess it, to see if any changes need to be made.
What do you think the ownership group's going to do? You think that maybe, and if they're 2-9, if they are, hell, even if they win one of the next 4 before Watson comes back, right, and are 3-8, you 100% sure that the head coach is still going to be the head football coach?
With the Haslams, anything is possible. Absolutely. So no, I'm not sure that he's still going to be the head coach. Absolutely, anything is possible.
They're 3-8, and that's going 1-3 in these next 4. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Right. And again, I know a lot of you that listen to us. I know I see it. We look at everything, and it kind of, like Kevin Stefanski's a real good head coach. He was coach of the year. Now, he's not putting his football team in the best position to be successful. And I'll stand by that. And I'll argue that as long as you want to argue it. He's not. And you could say all you want, well, players got to make plays. Yeah, they do. But when you got a head coach who is calling plays, and again, man, I'm sorry, you're not Don Shula. I'm going to go back. You're not Don Shula yet, man. You're not Jimmy Johnson. You're not Bill Parcells. And by the way, Bill Parcells didn't call his own plays, right? He didn't do that. He CEO'd his football teams. So, I mean, I'm for that just by nature, Ken. I don't like head coaches that think like, well, I'm going to call my own plays, and I'm going to be the guy that makes sure everything is right offensively. And then you see other leaks being sprung, defense and special teams. Why? Because head football coach is nowhere near them in their sideline huddles when they're not on the football field. You ever see him over there with the defense ever?
Oh, he can't, because he's got to go call plays. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. So
something's got to change, and we'll see if it happens this week coming up on Halloween night at home against the Bengals, or during the bye week the following week. All right, let's do this, Reg. Enough with that crappy team in Berea. All right, let's get a break in here on the R&R podcast, and when we come back, The Cavaliers are off to a 2-1 start. Donovan Mitchell is setting franchise records. And yeah, the Guardians season came to an end, but they lasted longer than any of us expected. So that was a success. We'll talk about two good teams in Cleveland next when the R&R podcast continues here on the Press Play Podcast Network, powered by MGM Northfield Park.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
What's up everyone, I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of the Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary, and we love ball cards.
And if you love ball cards too, good news. You just found your new favorite podcast. From breaks to grading.
And from collecting to flipping, join us on the Ball Card Show.
The sports podcast for the sports collector.
We continue with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, and we want to say thank you to our title sponsor, MGM Northfield Park. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evening with a 6 p.m. post time. Wager and win daily on top thoroughbred and harness tracks from around the world with action starting around noon. Plus, you can enter to play the free handicapping contest every Sunday. Hey, you might have a better chance to win there than the Browns have a chance to win on Sundays. Top prize there is $500. Registration on Sunday begins at 11 a.m. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. All right, Michael Reg, I had them winning 75 games, not making the playoffs. So while I am upset that they blew a 2-1 division series lead to the New York Yankees, I can't be that upset because they exceeded my expectations, got valuable experience for a lot of young players, and it was a fun season to watch the Cleveland Guardians in their first year as the Guardians play fun, exciting, come from behind playoff baseball.
Yeah, it really was. And you had them, I had them 80 and 82, but not being a playoff team, of course.
Right.
So that in and of itself, to me, shows what the constitution of this bunch is all about. They don't flinch, and I think they handle adversity well too, Kenny. And I'm talking about more in game adversity. They have a bad inning, get themselves down a few runs, and they seemingly always found a way, to battle their way back. Now, that having been said, we know, you say you never have enough pitching, but I feel real good about where they are pitching-wise, as long as people stay healthy. They do need, Kenny, they got to find a way to get two strong bats that can hit in the middle of this lineup, because of Franmil Reyes, him going south, that hurt, right? Yeah. That hurt, but for sure, at least, and when I say that, I mean a guy. I'm not going to get crazy, but you got to give me a guy who's got a track record, Ken, a resume. I'm going to say 25 home runs and 80 RBI.
Okay.
And if you hit 250, okay. I mean, I don't want you to hit 170, but, if you hit 240, 250, but 25 to 30 bombs, driving at least 75, nicer if it was more around 90. They got to get that guy for sure. And that's probably, you're going to have to find a way. And to get that kind of guy, Ken, you're probably going to have to give up some of your pitching. Understood. You're going to have to give up something, but they need that offensively. They got to have that. And then I would like to see a second bat come into this lineup too, that maybe you could go two ways with it. You could find it, unless you want to hit Quan and Rosario 1-2, which you could. You could. I'd like to see another bat, Kenny, that, maybe could hit in that 5-6 hole and also be a run producer. So, again, I'm not saying that's going to be easy to find. It's not. But we know, Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, they've done things in off seasons before that have, been pretty substantial to help this baseball team. And I hope they can do that, but definitely got to get a bat, Ken, with some thump, and that other pitching staff's, hey, if they want to pitch around the guy because he's got that much thump, okay, fine. But until you get that kind of guy, you're going to have to win a lot of 3-2, Kenny, and 2-1. And, that's it's hard to sustain over 162 games. It just is.
Right.
They did a wonderful job this year, but that's hard
in the regular
to sustain.
Season, right?
Correct.
In the regular season,
not in October.
Get it done
not
in the
October.
Regular season and in the Central Division, but that ain't going to cut it.
Nope.
When it comes, ALDS and ALCS and World Series. So again, they went further than I thought, and it was fun. I was down there for the Yankee series. Huge rally, comeback. They go up 2-1. They lose game 4, go on the road, lose game 5. And by the way, in fairness, because we try and be fair on this show, and it's hard. It's very hard to question Terry Francona, right? I mean, I think I think he's the best, manager / coach that's in Cleveland right now. Hall of Fame manager, right? However, having said that, you mentioned Stefanski. His job is to put them in the best position to win. Terry Francona did not do that in Game 5 when he started Aaron Savali. If you're going to tell me analytics are a big part of what you do now in Major League Baseball, if you believe in track records and numbers that certain players are who we thought they were, then there was no way on planet Earth that Aaron Savali should have started Game 5 or even been on the roster in the ALDS, because the Yankees rocked him in the regular season in 2 starts, 9 innings, 10 runs, 3 homers, and guess what? He pitched a third of an inning in Game 5 and gave up a 3-run jack to Giancarlo Stanton, and the game was over. And for me, the game was over before it started, and that was on Terry Francona. So as good as Tito was all season, and he was outstanding, he failed miserably there by starting Aaron Savali in that game. Bieber is the guy that should have taken the ball, said, no, I'm starting this game. Give me the damn ball, and I'll give you as many pitches, not inning, many pitches as I can, and then get it to our bullpen because, we got to save him. He's going to be gone in a year or a year and a half anyways in free agency. They're not going to pay him what he's worth. So don't worry about what his value is or wearing him out. You didn't worry about Andrew Miller. You wore him out. You didn't worry about Cody Allen. You wore him out. So what? Corey Kluber, right? So no, he should have started. And Terry Francona made a poor decision. He put his team in a bad position to start Game 5, and it cost him.
He most certainly did. And, okay, a lot of people got on me on the Twitter because, continuing with what you just said, I wanted to see Shane Bieber demand the ball.
There you go.
I got the ball, Skip.
Yep.
I got the ball for this game. Now, if he didn't want to do that, then you got to go a bullpen game then. You cannot throw out there whom he did. Yep. That's another one. I don't care. I'll argue that with anybody that cares to. Yep. If Bieber didn't want the ball because he wasn't physically capable of doing it, You do not throw Aaron Savali out there in what turns out to be the biggest game of your year. Kenny, I'm still dumbfounded by it. And,
Me too.
I know you could say, well, but to me, those that are trying to defend that, I don't think you got a leg to stand on myself. I just said Bieber should have taken the ball. That's me. If he physically wasn't able to do it, you have to then, whether it's a bullpen game, however you want to phrase it, you cannot start the guy you did. Under what principle? Yeah. What have you seen that would tell you this is going to work well?
We're in agreement, Reg, 100%. And like I said, outstanding year by Francona. Maybe his best managerial job up to Game 5 that he's shown since he's been in Cleveland. But that was a major mistake, and their season comes to an end in part because of it.
Yeah, just one last time. It doesn't make him a poor manager.
No,
he's a very good manager, okay?
Yep.
If you want to hear it out of our mouth, he's a very good manager.
Hall of Fame.
He's proven that. He made a terrible decision in Game 5.
Now,
and it lost his baseball team.
Here's what I want.
Doesn't make him a non-Hall of Fame manager. But what? We can't say that? Because it's absolutely true.
But did he
made
make
a
that
terrible decision.
Or was that made above him? That's the question that I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that. So I don't know if that came from the higher ups or if that was his decision or Bieber said, I can't do it. And so he covered for him. And so we don't know. Bottom line is, regardless of who made the decision not to have Bieber pitch, they shouldn't have pitched Savali. And that's the end of that story. Bottom line, end of that story. Now, to your point, 2 big bats. And can we get a major league catcher who can hit 230? Can you think, is that possible?
You got to, because I'll tell you what it can't be. It can't be 162. You're a starting catcher.
Your center fielder can't hit 200.
No.
And you can't have 2 automatic outs at the bottom of the
order. That's correct. I don't, same thing. I don't care how many balls Miles Straw runs down in the damn gap. You're going to put him out there 162 times. He's going to have 600 at bats, and he just got over 200 in the last 10 days of the season. No, not in this day and age in baseball. No.
Unless he's hitting 25 home runs, Michael, right? He can bat that low. He can have a poor batting average like that.
He didn't hit one, Kenneth.
I know. That's my point. If he's hitting 25 bombs, fine. Save runs in the outfield, hit 25 homers, fine. But guess what? 0 home run. Reg, he had as many home runs as you and I did this year.
I know.
And he batted 600 more times.
At bats. And to me, all this points to me, again, that this baseball team won a division, was tremendous in September with some of these shortcomings.
Yeah.
But I will say this, you and I know you can't sustain that every year. If you think you're going to have a catcher hit 160 and an outfielder that plays 162 games, goes to the dish 600 times, and nothing, no home runs, none. Now, you won't sustain that. Now, I'm telling you, you won't.
And remember this, starting next year, Michael, you don't play the Tigers 19 times. You don't play the Royals 19 times. The Twins 19 times. No, that drops down to 13 times each team in your division. So you're playing everybody in baseball. So the crutch that was your Central Division advantage is not any longer. It's not there.
That's right.
Hey. Okay, having said all that, like how they did that, who knows? But it was fun while it lasted. Let's take the positive that they gained the experience. And with the 4 extra gate receipts from the 4 home playoff games, and David Blitzer supposedly going to be, the minority owner, hopefully they'll take some of that money and go out and address the 3 things we mentioned: 2 bats with a little thump and a big league catcher that can hit 230. Let's hope that's the case with the Dolans in the front office. All right, real quick, Reg. We're only 3 games in as we tape this with the Cavaliers. They're 2-1. They lost a tough opener on the road at Toronto. Probably should have won that, but hey, that's okay. You lose that one because you lost Darius Garland to an eye injury in that game early, and you weren't able to adjust. Well, then you had time off to adjust for the next 2 games. You go to the Windy City, you beat the Bulls. Tonight, their home opener, as we're taping this on Sunday night, they beat Washington. And how about Spider Miller Mitchell, Spider Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, 3 consecutive 30-point games to start the season for the Cavaliers. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody, not even LeBron James, started the season with 3 consecutive 30-point games. He had 37 tonight in the win over the Wizards in overtime, Red. So a lot of guys they gave up in that trade, but so far it's early, but he's paying dividends, showing you he can score the basketball.
Well, Donovan Mitchell is a bona fide NBA point producer, Kenny. I mean, he is going to get them for you in bunches. He will, again, because he's going to be on the floor, probably close to, between 36 and 40 minutes a night. Wouldn't shock me at all if he is able to, average 22, 23 points a game, maybe even better than that. Huge night tonight against Washington. And, he's not a pure shooter, Kenny. That's not what his game is, okay? But, man, this guy gets to the rim, gets to the free throw line, and finds a way. He's taking 25 to 30 shots a night, but he finds a way, to put, well, as we said, for the first 3, putting 30-plus up, virtually every time he goes out. And so in that sense, I think the Cavaliers already have found out that this offense is probably just going to run through him. It'll help when Garland gets back, to be sure. But, I mean, I've always liked the guy, Ken, but he was in, Utah. You didn't see him all that much, but just an outstanding, bona fide NBA point-producing shooting guard. And, Ken, I'm not sure he's even 6'2". He's strong as hell, upper body.
Right.
But height-wise, normally you guys 6'5", 6'6". I'm not sure he's more than 6'1", but he gets to the rim, man, and he gets in the paint, and that's what I love about him. Draws contact, finishes, and gets to the free throw line. That's what I love about him.
Long arms, good hops, slam dunk champion. So that comes into play as well, which is great around the basket. And when Darius Garland comes back from that eye injury, I think they're going to be even better. I think they're going to mesh. They're going to play well together in that backcourt. Karis LeVert getting the start at the 3 for now, and we'll see how that goes. Isaac Okoro in there while Garland's out. He's more of a defensive guy. I'll say this, Jared Allen so far in the first 3 games, playing like the all-star he was last year. Tonight, some huge blocks down the stretch, double-double again for J.A. Evan Mobley. I need more offense from Evan Mobley.
Me too. He looks a little uncomfortable right now. Yeah. I don't know if that's because he's trying to figure out where he's supposed to be while playing with Mitchell. And that could be, right? That could be. Sometimes you see him, he looks to come up and set a ball screen, right? For Mitchell, say at the foul line extended or top of the circle, Mitchell will go the other way.
Right.
Right? So right now it looks like that Mobley's trying to figure it out. But bottom line, I agree with you 1,000,000%. Come on, Evan Mobley. When it's got to be 15 points a night and 8, 9 boards a night. That's got to be the end result.
I need more than that. I need 17 and 8 and 2 a night. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, because I know Jared Allen's going to grab some of those rebounds too, right? So give me 17, 8 and 2. And Jared Allen, give me 13 and 10 and 2, and I'm fine with that. And defensively, they won the game tonight defensively in overtime after blowing it down the stretch. They played good defense in the OT. Well, it's just one of them things, Michael. They were a little winded, they were tired and whatnot and all, but they played hard, and they eventually pulled it out and whatnot and all and stuff. So it was a good win for buckle up, Spider Cup, or whatever the hell he's Buttercup, whatever that. You got Doherty and AC doing games now as the analysts with the Cavaliers. So that'll be fun all season long.
That's a must listen, those two together.
Throw the hammer down, Michael Vega. He's a man.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
That's it. My bad on that. Well, it's just one of them things. But yeah, so the Cavaliers, Reg, we got to go to a game together this year as fans.
We will. Yes.
Not as working medium members.
That's cool.
All right. We
That's
need to
cool.
go with our ladies and just go sit and watch and enjoy the Cavaliers as
All good.
fans this year, and then we can talk about it on this podcast. All right,
For sure, absolutely, we will do that as fans, though.
Yes.
I'm not gonna. I don't go down there
right.
as
I got
anything
you.
else
As fans.
but that.
I'll get. You know what? I got station tickets at WHBC. I'll get our station tickets.
Oh, that's cool.
I think we got 4. We have 2 or 4. Maybe you and I will just go, or if we have 4, we'll bring the ladies and we'll go. We'll have a good time.
Absolutely. Bring the ladies, make a night of it. And, because the team's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, they
There's
are.
No question about that.
I'm
fun.
excited about that. Yeah, very excited. More so than the Browns. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep close tabs, though. Again, next Sunday. No, it's a Monday night, isn't it?
Monday night.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the season right here. Whether or not you got any kind of opportunity to, actually think you may be a playoff team. So they're going to have to win this football game and the 4-game losing streak. Yes.
Must win Monday night against the Bengals at home. All right, Reg, we'll get out of here. That's another edition of the Reg Guy and Rhoda podcast, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Thanks once again to our producer and CEO, Chase Smith. Great job as always. We appreciate the effort, Chase. And we'll do this all again sometime next week after that Browns Monday nighter, Reg. All right?
Sounds good, Road Man. We'll talk then and see where everything's at.